Hello class, welcome to week 2 of INST 414. I'm going to start off with some announcements for this week. Many of you have been submitting your Medium account information in ELMS. I've been adding you to the course publication, so INST 414, the Data Science Tech publication on Medium. Hopefully you've been receiving emails or have received an email saying that you've been added if you've submitted your account information and I've graded it. If not, do let me know. As I mentioned last week, you can go see some examples of what these kind of Medium posts look like at the course publication for my previous course, Web Mining 688. It's also on Medium. While we're talking about Medium, let's go over the Module 1 assignment. So I realized I didn't go over that last week. The expectation was we would get into it this week, and I'll make some comments about that here. So first, what is this assignment about? The goal here is for you to create essentially a baseline of the kinds of data science things that you may do. So what I'm asking you to do here is write a 500-word post describing some exploration or exploratory data analysis using data of your own design. It's important that you collect your own data. You need to do that and not use any pre-existing data. So you can't use something on Kaggle, you can't use something from Data World. You need to collect your own data. And then once you do that, I want you to be thinking about identifying some non-obvious insight from this data. So I want you to do more than just like counting. Ideally, and this is the case with all of your Medium assignments, you should be thinking about a particular stakeholder and what decisions that stakeholder might want to make, and then go backward to identify the data that they may need to make those decisions. So what kind of insights can you extract from data that will help drive those decisions? And that's how you should introduce all of your assignments or all of your Medium posts with what decision are you trying to help somebody make here. Once you've done that, then describe where this data might live, why it's relevant, and how you collected it. Specifically looking at the libraries you used. Did you use Beautiful Soup or requests or some existing API wrapper like Tweepy or praw? And I'll talk about APIs in another part of the lecture for today, so you'll get some insight there. Then I want you to actually do the exploratory data analysis here. So actually try and extract that insight that you want to help your stakeholder make some decision. Then identify any bugs that you've encountered and how you fixed them, any sort of data cleaning that you had to do. Include well-designed figures or tables to help summarize your findings. It's important that the tables here or the figures here contribute to the value of the post. That's actually how you get better traction on Medium. So your figures should be readable. Figures should not be code blocks. If you want to use code blocks, that's fine, but use the actual code block affordance in Medium. Don't take screenshots of chunks of code. That's bad form. If you're going to include tables, don't take screenshots of tables. Actually create tables in the Medium format. All that's relatively straightforward. And then conclude your article discussing the limitations you have and any major takeaways that you want to close on. Now these last few pieces, whatever bugs you encountered, useful and impactful figures, and conclusions on limitations, all of your Medium posts should have that. Each one of the 6 assignments over the course of the semester. Once you have written your article, publish it to Medium. You publish it within your own account, and then it's crucial that you add the article to the course publication, and the Medium slides and the Medium YouTube video I put together explains how to do that. So the publication for the class is Data Science Techniques. You want to add your article to that publication. And then finally, you want to tag your article appropriately as well. So the SPR 2022 A01 tag lets me specify where this assignment will go in the course publication. You can also check out the rubric for this and all of your Medium assignments. Here I've uploaded all of those assignments to Elm, so you can check them out. Now also, as a number of you have come to me and come to Tanishka about this, I had not intended to make the assignments due this week. I had meant to make them due 1 week after we finish the module. So prior to, I think, yesterday, the assignment was set to be due February 4th. That was this coming Friday. I moved that and the assignment for Module 2 1 week out, so you have a week between the end of the module and when the assignment is due for that module. Now that said, remember, none of the module assignments, none of these Medium posts are assessed late penalties. So don't stress about when I have them listed as due. That's notional deadlines to help you sort of plan out your semester. But if you need to take a couple of days, don't worry about it. That's absolutely fine. So where actually do your points come from in this? So the rubric for your Medium posts are here. The first thing you'll see is that 10 points, this is almost across the board, 10 points of your assessment go to that first identifying some non-obvious insight and what decision you're trying to inform. And that's how, like I said, all of your articles should be motivated by helping somebody make a decision. You should not motivate your article by saying, I have this data and this insight is interesting to me. You need to focus or motivate your article by saying somebody might have this problem or have to make this decision and they need this data and this insight in order to make that decision. So that's how you should motivate your article. So what is excellence here? I'll note that 10% of all of the Medium posts have this, or 10% of the grades for all the Medium articles have this line about excellence. So it's basically a catch-all for me to address particular issues that you might have in terms of writing or in terms of problematic analysis or reflection, these kinds of things. You can do well in this class without ever having to impress me. You can get an A in the class without any kind of issue like that. But for articles that go above and beyond, that's where you get points on excellence here. Also, to give you some examples for dealing with APIs and to set you up with some examples for Module 2, I've put together the GitHub repository for this course. You can check it out on GitHub at umd.inst414. I have a link to that also in the homepage for the course. You just click the course GitHub repo. You can click on Module 1 and you can see that I have a couple of examples of using APIs here. So the first one is using the Aviation API just to get some insight about airports. You can explore and exercise this API. It's a free API, and you can get weather ratings or weather reports from websites or from particular airports that you've identified. Look at charts and flights going in and out of those airports, etc. It's all relatively straightforward, but it's a good example of using the requests library in Python to interact with some RESTful-based API. And like I said, I'll have more info about APIs later on in this lecture. The other example is about refugerestrooms.org. It's a great resource for looking for or identifying restrooms that are safe and accessible for people who are transgender, intersex, or gender nonconforming. And at the end of this, you see an analysis I put together about, well, how far away are the top 100 closest restrooms to a particular location that are considered safe for these individuals. And you can get some insights from here that I thought were surprising and kind of interesting. So this is maybe a useful kind of figure if you want to see an example of what kind of easily exploratory data analysis you might do. All right, so that's it for the Module 1 assignment. That should give you enough resources to make good progress there. The next thing is about the semester project. So as I mentioned last week, there are 5 parts here. You should be working on your project proposal now, because that's due a week from today on February 9th. So be thinking about who's in your group, what problems are you solving, what data are you going to use. Are you going to do this actually alone or in a team? I'm really happy to see that lots of people have posted on the Project Ideas forum. So that's been super useful to give you some feedback and do some matchmaking between you and your classmates who may be looking at similar kinds of problems. As we go through this, you may be thinking, what makes a good semester project? This is a great question. Some key points here. I want you to focus more on analysis and less on engineering. So focus on the questions or the decisions you're trying to help somebody make, not necessarily on the tools. I certainly will not expect you to create the most amazing stock market analysis and prediction framework out there. If you could do that for this class, then you could be making millions of dollars out on the stock market. I hope if you do that for this class, maybe you kick back some of that money to your alma mater. But it's not important that your tools work perfectly or are the most high-performing tools in the world. What's much more important is, did you make good progress answering questions and providing insight? You need to be doing something more than just running regressions on small data sets. I'm interested in more sophisticated kind of analyses, and I'm interested in seeing you do something on larger, more realistic scale data sets. Finally, or the next point is think about how the modules in the class will help you answer your question. So I understand we're early in the semester, so there's lots of modules that we haven't covered. That's fine, but it's important that when you are putting together your proposal and thinking about the kinds of decisions you want to help make or the insights you want to extract, think about how the different modules that I outlined last week, how one of them may help you do that, how clustering may help you answer some question, or how supervised learning may help you answer some other question. Because I want you to be able to exercise at least some subset of the techniques from this class in your project. And finally, be bold. Like I mentioned, it's not important to me as much that your tools are amazing and work perfectly. If you identify and extract useful insights or make progress in helping somebody answer some question that's important to them, that's going to be sufficient. That's going to get you most of the way there. So it's not important so much if the tools that you develop work or are high performing, so much as were you able to extract valuable and useful and actionable insights. So as I mentioned, we have 7 modules in this course. It's important that you at least use some of the techniques from one of these modules for your semester project. After you have submitted your project proposals and Tanishka and I give you feedback, we're going to start setting up bi-weekly meetings with you. These are going to be short, 10, 15-minute meetings just to check in. Since this course is an online course, I found these bi-weekly meetings are very useful to make sure that you're making progress, help you identify any issues that you might have, and essentially push forward on the projects to make sure that everybody's making good progress. So we'll talk more about this as we see how many teams there are and what this is going to look like after we get your proposals from you. All right, so that's all for this week. For next week, in preparation for the beginning of Module 2, I want you to be reading sections 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, and 5.5 of Chapter 5 of the MMDS book. So this is link analysis, and that'll prep you for our study on graph structures in the web. If you haven't already done so, be sure and sign up for Medium and send me your Medium login or Medium account name so I can add you to the course publication. So that's due this Friday. Your assignment 1, module 1, is due, quote unquote, due next week. Remember, no late penalty if you don't get it on time, but be working on this so it's out of the way. And if you have any questions about this, you are absolutely welcome to come to office hours with Tanishk or with myself, and we'll help you out with this. And there are resources on GitHub that I mentioned earlier. Finally, your semester project, the proposal for that is due next week. Make sure you're making progress on that. If you have any questions about any of this, or any of these announcements, or any of the material that I will cover today, by all means post on the discussion forum for Module 1, and come by my office hours or send us an email if you have any questions.